Sharks are often seen as apex predators of the modern sea, but they've been around far longer than most people realize. In fact, sharks have existed for over 400 million years, which makes them older than trees. Trees evolved around 350 million years ago, meaning sharks were already patrolling the oceans for 50 million years before forests ever covered land. Their basic body structure has barely changed because it works so well, a testament to evolutionary success. They've survived 5 mass extinctions, adapted to multiple climates, and continue to thrive today. Every time a shark swims by, you're looking at one of nature's oldest survivors. Bananas might be sweet and soft, but did you know they're slightly radioactive? That's because they contain high levels of potassium, including the rare isotope potassium-40, which is naturally radioactive. But don't panic, you'd have to eat millions of bananas at once to experience any radiation effect. In fact, scientists even use something called the banana equivalent dose to explain small amounts of radiation in everyday life. It's totally harmless, but it's a quirky fact that gives your daily fruit a surprising twist. Yes, bananas glow in science, not in the dark. It sounds like a joke, but it's 100% true. Wombats poop cubes. These marsupials from Australia have uniquely shaped intestines that compress waste into neat little blocks. Why? It helps the poop stay put. Wombats use it to mark their territory, and cubes don't roll away like round droppings would. This bizarre biological trick was so fascinating, it even inspired researchers to study its potential use in soft tissue engineering. Nature often favors function over form, and in the oddities wombat's case, cubes are the perfect shape for communication. Tardigrades, also known as water bears, might be tiny, but they're among the toughest creatures on Earth. These microscopic organisms can survive in outer space, enduring conditions no other life form can. They've lived through extreme temperatures, radiation, dehydration, and even the vacuum of space. When stressed, they curl into a ton state, like hibernation on steroids, and wait for better conditions. Scientists sent tardigrades into orbit, and many of them survived. They're not aliens, but they definitely act like it. These resilient critters show us how wild and adaptable life can be, even beyond Earth. Venus doesn't follow the crowd when it comes to spinning. While most planets rotate counterclockwise, Venus spins in the opposite direction, a phenomenon called retrograde rotation. If you stood on Venus, not recommended, it's over 800 degrees. You'd see the sun rise in the west and set in the east. It also rotates incredibly slowly. One day on Venus lasts longer than its year. Scientists think a massive collision in the early solar system may have reversed its spin. Venus is a strange, searing world where everything, from its atmosphere to its rotation, is flipped on its head. Often dismissed as city pests, pigeons are actually surprisingly smart. In fact, they're one of the few animals that can recognize themselves in mirrors, a test of self-awareness once believed to be unique to primates and dolphins. When pigeons see their reflection, they understand it's not another bird, but their own image. They can also distinguish letters, recognize faces, and even tell the difference between Monet and Picasso. These feathered thinkers are far more than street scavengers. They're cognitive powerhouses in plain feathers. Sloths are known for their slow, sleepy lifestyle, but they've got a surprising superpower. A sloth can hold its breath for up to 40 minutes, beating dolphins, which average about 10 to 15 minutes. How? Sloths can slow their heart rate to a third of its normal pace, conserving oxygen in impressive ways. This comes in handy when they're hiding underwater from predators. It's just another way these laid-back creatures have adapted to survive, slowly but smartly. So while dolphins might have the flash, sloths win the breath-holding battle. You've probably heard the myth that lightning never strikes the same place twice, but that's not true. In fact, it often strikes the same spot repeatedly, especially tall, metal, or isolated structures. The Empire State Building, for example, gets hit by lightning about 20-25 times a year. Lightning follows the path of least resistance, And if that path is a skyscraper, mountain, or even a lone tree, it becomes a target over and over again. So don't count on the myth for safety. If a storm's brewing, it's always best to stay indoors. At first glance, sea sponges look more like plants or coral than animals, but they're very much alive. They don't have hearts, brains, or even organs, but they belong to the animal kingdom. Sponges filter water through their porous bodies to collect food, and they've been doing it for over 600 million years, making them one of the oldest multicellular animals on Earth. Their cells can even reorganize if separated, forming a new sponge entirely. Quiet, ancient, and highly effective, sponges prove that not all animals have to move fast or move at all. Unlike humans, ants don't sleep in the traditional sense. They don't have long, consistent rest periods like we do. Instead, ants take hundreds of micronaps throughout the day, just a few minutes at a time. Queens rest more than workers, but even they never fully shut down. These short bursts of rest keep the colony functioning 24/7. The ant world never stops working, and their brains are wired for constant activity. So while ants might pause for a breather, they're not curling, up for a solid 8 hours like we are. Coral reefs face intense sunlight in shallow, clear waters, yet they thrive under constant UV exposure. That's partly because corals produce their own form of sunscreen. Symbiotic algae living inside the coral produce protective compounds that shield both organisms from harmful rays. This natural defense lets them photosynthesize safely in sunny waters. Scientists are now studying these compounds for eco-friendly sunscreens for humans. Once again, nature offers not just beauty, but innovation, resilience, and even solutions for our own problems. Giraffes have massive, towering necks, yet they share a surprising trait with us. Both species have 7 neck vertebrae. The difference lies in size. Each giraffe neck bone can be over 10 inches long. Despite their height, giraffes retain the octopuses, same basic vertebral structure as most mammals. This shows how evolution can stretch and scale features without changing the fundamental blueprint. It's like having the same Lego set, but building a skyscraper instead of a bungalow. Their long necks help them spot predators and reach high leaves, proving that structure and function evolve hand in hand. The Sahara Desert, known today for its scorching sand and endless dunes, was once a lush, green paradise. Around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, it featured lakes, grasslands, and even hippos and elephants. This period, called the African Humid Period, supported human settlements and rich biodiversity. Evidence like cave paintings and fossilized fish remains prove this dramatic transformation. But due to shifts in Earth's orbit and monsoon patterns, the Sahara dried out, turning into the arid desert we see today. It's a powerful reminder that climates can and do change over time. Your brain is the most complex object in the known universe. It contains around 86 billion neurons, each forming thousands of connections or synapses with others. That's estimated to be over 100 trillion connections, far more than the 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. These neural networks handle everything from thought to emotion to memory. The brain rewires itself constantly, adapting and learning every moment. It's a living supercomputer running on biological circuits. When you reflect on the stars, remember, there's a galaxy of activity happening inside your head too.